Board of Commissioners of the City of Tucson Public Housing Authority will stand in session. Let's go to roll call.
Commissioner Romero? Here. Commissioner Cunningham?
He's absent.
Commissioner Durham?
Here.
Commissioner Scott?
Here.
Commissioner Fimbres?
Here.
Commissioner Kozaczyk?
Here.
Chair Rothschild?
Here. We have one other commissioner.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Mohammed?
He's absent. Okay, let's go to item 2.
Public hearing, approval of the City of Tucson and PIMA County Consortium 5-year Action Plan Amendment for fiscal year 2019, Resolution PHA 2018-006.
City Manager's Communication number 389, dated December 4, is received into and made part of the record. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time and place legally advertised for a public hearing on the Public Housing Capital Fund Program 5-year Action Plan Amendment for the award of the Safety and Security Grant for Posadas Sentinel. This public hearing is scheduled to last for no more than 1 hour. Speakers are limited to 5-minute presentations. I do not believe we have any cards for anyone who wants to speak on this matter. Is there anyone here who wants to speak on the grant for Posadas Sentinel? If not, I
move to close the public hearing.
All right, got a motion second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read Resolution PHA 2018-006 by number and title only.
Resolution number PHA 2018-006 relating to public housing, approving the City of Tucson annual plan for city fiscal year 2019 and HUD fiscal year 2018, authorizing and directing the adoption of the Public Housing Authority updated capital fund 5-year plan and submission to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, and declaring an emergency.
What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one quick question.
Sure.
Before we make the motion. On this chart, Sally, it's got the 5 years in scattered sites and all the allocations. For years 19 through 22, are those budget numbers dependent on our receiving more grant funding in upcoming years, or are they locked in?
Yes, Commissioner Kozaczyk, we anticipate level funding going forward. That's how HUD recommends we budget, and then we adjust from year to year when we bring it back to you with actual figures for the current year.
Okay, so these are hoped for allocations.
I have a question, too.
Councilmember Fimbres?
Mr. Mayor, can the Board of Commissioners be reminded of what specifically in terms of safety and security measures would be implemented for the $250,000 grant from the Posadas Sentinel Development?
Commissioner Fimbres, the $250,000 will be used to install steel security doors and new lock sets on front and back of all 60 public housing units, along with improved lighting in the area. We've had discussions yesterday about expanding into some more smart city technology as part of that.
Thank you.
Okay, we don't have the motion yet.
Well, I'll move that we adopt the plan.
Resolution PH 2018-006. I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Commissioner Romero?
Aye.
Commissioner Durham?
Aye.
Commissioner Scott?
Aye.
Commissioner Fimbres?
Aye.
Commissioner Kozaczyk?
Aye.
Chair Rothschild?
Aye. Resolution PHA 2018-006 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 3.
Approval of Public Housing Authority minutes.
City Manager's Communication number 395, dated December 4, is received into and made part of the record. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Those are the minutes of November 14th, 2018. We've got a motion and a second to approve those. Any discussion on that matter? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Commissioner Romero?
Aye.
Commissioner Durham?
Aye.
Commissioner Scott?
Aye.
Commissioner Fimbres? Aye. Commissioner Kozaczyk? Chair Rothschild?
Aye. The motion to approve the minutes of November 14, 2018 passed by a vote of 6-0. Item 4.
Adjournment.
The meeting of the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. The Mayor and Council will now convene our regular meeting. Session. Let's go to roll call.
Ms. Romero? Here. Mr. Durham?
Here.
Ms. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Fimbres? Mr. Kozaczek? Mayor Rothschild.
Here. Item 2.
Invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and appointments to boards, committees, and commissions.
Okay, we'll take invocation and Pledge of Allegiance first. I'd like you all to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which we will observe a moment of silence for Deputy U.S. Marshal Chase White, a husband and father of 4, who was killed in the line of duty last Thursday while serving a warrant in Tucson. After that moment of silence, please remain standing for the invocation to be given by Pastor Randy Reynolds from Community Renewal.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Randy.
Lord of all creation, I ask your blessing on this city. I thank you for the attention to housing and the alleviation of poverty. I ask, Lord, for your comfort for the family of this U.S. Marshal. Pray that you would continue to bring peace and welfare to our community. Thank you for these public servants who govern our city. Give them discernment in the decisions so they make wise and just decisions. Continue to grant them wisdom on what so they might be able to care for those that are entrusted to their care. Bless each one of them and their families. Keep us safe from harm. Grant us as citizens the grace and respect and appreciation of their service and sacrifice in our community. Amen.
Amen. All right. Item 2C.
Presentations.
I'd like to proclaim December 4th to be Aztec Men's Soccer Day. I know I see a number of players back there. If you could all come forward. I think Coach David Cosgrove, sophomore forward Hugo Kamatani, and sophomore defender Jacob Pacheco are here to accept, but all of you are welcome to come to the podium. It's not often that we get to celebrate a national championship for an athletic team in our community. And whenever that happens, it's pretty unique. And Pima Community College has, over the last number of years, turned out a whole lot of great athletes for us. And one of the other things that Pima does is, as they're turning out those great athletes, they're also turning out students who are going to go on to further their education or further their work experience or the like. And so it is really our honor tonight to make this proclamation from the city of Tucson. Whereas under the leadership of David Cosgrove, Pima Community College men's soccer team, the Aztecs have consistently been one of the best programs in this part of the country. And this program has produced professional players such as Donnie Toya, Min Vu, Arturo Vega, and Jason Romero. And whereas Coach Cosgrove and Pima staff have been diligent about helping their student athletes continue their education, making sure that every sophomore on last year's team had a place at a 4-year school. And whereas 20 of the rostered players for Pima's team are Tucsonans, reflecting both the talent in Tucson and Pima Community College's commitment to our local community. And whereas this year's team had an impressive run of 18 games without a loss or draw, outscoring opponents 83-17 this past season. Oh, man. Whereas this year's team qualified for the national tournament by winning district, divisional competitions without allowing a single goal to be scored against them. I need to meet the goalkeeper here. And whereas the Aztecs fought their way into the final match in the grittiest way possible, 2 matches were won in overtime with goals scored by Hugo Kamatani. And whereas the Aztecs won the final match once again in overtime, despite having just 10 players on the field, a tribute to their tenacity. Now, therefore, I, Jonathan Rothschild, Mayor of the City of Tucson, do hereby proclaim December 4th, 2018 to be Aztec Men's Soccer Day in this community and encourage all of our residents to honor the accomplishments of these student athletes. In witness whereof, I put my hand and seal this 4th day of December, 2018. Coach? All right. I think Councilmember Fimbres and Councilmember Cunningham's aide, Mr. Krzelski, have some things for all of you. But you want to say a few words, Coach, before we?
I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank the City Council or the Mayor for having us down here. Obviously, it's something we've worked very hard at for a very long time. I've been part of the community in Tucson for over 50 years now, and I've been at PIMA College for 20 years. And I'll be honest, I never thought this day would come. We've been close, but we never kind of broke through until this year. It's a resilient group, a special group, and we're extremely proud of what they've accomplished. And you know, again, we really appreciate you taking the time to recognize us. They did extraordinary things, and you highlighted even stuff I wasn't aware of, so you've done your homework. And I'll tell you this, the city and the community has been outstanding since we got back. It's been a real terrific month. For me, professionally, it's been the best month of my life. So I really do appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And to the guys, as you get older, you'll recognize what you did is something special. You probably don't know it yet. You're too young to realize it. But when you get to my age, what you've done, you'll remember, and it is extremely special. And I thank you for taking me on that ride and journey this year.
Go ahead. Go again, Coach. We have some certificates of appreciation for the student athletes that have done such an outstanding job to represent the great city of Tucson and PIMA Community College in our community. And the first certificate goes to Coach Cosgrove, David Cosgrove, for the 2018 NJCAA Soccer National Champions. Come on up. And we also have a medallion, and Councilman Cunningham, aide, also has certificates for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Next is Assistant Coach Javier Holguin. Here, you want to read them? Sure. Not here? All right, put it right here.
That's a distance. Assistant Coach Gabe Mendoza. All right. Man, these things go like, you seem like a Assistant Coach Alex Rangel. Right? All right. This looks like players now. Johan Anderson. That's for you. I got all sorts of stuff for him. Martin Cardenas.
Congratulations. Proud of you, man. Get over here so we're hanging for a group picture.
Dave Danielis. You always guess. See how many of these names you can mispronounce.
Come on over here. Come on, Dave.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. Proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
You got you in here. So. Abraham Espinosa. Congratulations. Isaias Herman.
Thank you.
Luis Gonzalez. That's an easy one.
Hey, Luis.
Ricky Gordillo. There you go, buddy. Congratulations. Ben Holthouse. Oh, I never got it. You taught, son? Jose Ira. There you go. Thanks. Itsuki Ishihara.
Yeah, we're going to give you these when you get done.
Yuki Jahara. There he is. Yeah, we got them from all, we got United Nations. Man.
His cousin.
Congratulations. Hugo Kamatani.
He's outstanding athlete.
Hugo actually was the player of the tournament and is a candidate for player of the year and scored 30 goals in 28 matches.
All right. Wow. Good job.
Hunter Knox.
Where's Hunter? Hunter, congratulations, sir.
Eric McDonald.
All right, Eric. Congratulations, sir. Good job.
Osvaldo Miranda.
That's one of those. Congratulations. Good job. Thank you.
Alex Nguyen.
Alex, congratulations. Proud of you, man.
Jacob Pacheco.
All right, Jacob. Proud of you. Good job. Thank you, sir.
Niels Rock.
Nils was that goalkeeper that the mayor was asking about. He had 12 shutouts this season.
All right, give him a round of applause. All right. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
David Silva. Take it, well. It's for you, too. Get two. Edson Vasquez. You got plenty. You got plenty. You got like something like that. Javier Vega. Nico Walshberger.
Where's Nico at?
Go here. Kiskile Zawadi. Josh Allison.
Thank you.
Connor Cosgrove. Looks like the last one. Anthony Salazar.
Some of you move over here. We're going to take a group picture. Yeah, get a group picture. Everybody get in front. Come on up here. Come on up here. Where's the coach? This will be in Jet magazine.
This is Jack.
Interview? Come on, over here. Right here. Hey, mates. Sit in the middle. Yeah, right there. All right.
I heard both of them have to bend down too.
All right. One more. For the mother. One more. Go ahead, one more. Yeah, one more. See, they're moving on. All right, PIMA colors. There you go. Where's it go? Here, Coach, these are the extra ones.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I've got some more for
And whoever didn't get one, just let us know, Paul. Hey, thank you.
You're kidding. You're kidding. Who died? There's nothing going on. I heard. Okay, we're good.
Ew. Nice.
Let's go to item 2D.
Appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Your Honor, there are no appointments to be made at this time.
Okay, City Manager's communication number 377 dated December 4th is received into and made part of the record. Are there any personal appointments to be made at this time? Hearing none, we will move on to item 3.
Mayor and Council and City Managers report, summary of current events.
City Manager's communication number 376 dated December 4 is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow members of the Mayor and Council and the City Manager to report on current events. Does any council member have anything to report at this time? Council Member Romero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it, and congratulations to the PIMA College team. I just wanted, first and foremost, to take a point of personal privilege to congratulate two amazing women that have been recognized for their dedication to improving their community and public service. First, I want to congratulate Laura Dent, my previous chief of staff, for being honored as La Adelita del Año by Las Adelitas, Arizona, at our holiday posada coming up in December 8th. Las Adelitas is an organization that empowers Latinas and their families in the political process. Laura left the Ward 1 Council office to become the Executive State Director of Chispa, Arizona, where she continues to advocate for the community and our environment. I also want to congratulate my current council aide, Natalia Untiveros, for being a winner of the 40 Under 40, or one of the winners of the 40 Under 40 award. Natalia started at my office 2 years ago and has dedicated herself to helping constituents in Ward 1 and is currently studying her master's degree and working full-time at my office. Congratulations to these amazing women. I'm very proud of them, and they're very well-deserved recognitions. And then the other event I'd like to invite the community to. In January, my office is helping me organize a community cafecito and utility resource fair. My office receives many calls from constituents asking to meet with me or talk to me about a certain issue. And unfortunately, because I don't have all of the time that I'd like to dedicate to meeting each and every one of my constituents directly, sometimes I just can't. And so for this reason, on January 12th, my staff and I will be at the Fred Archer Center, ready to talk about ideas, issues, and anything in between. This is an opportunity to sign up for cost savings for 2019 in terms of utility resources, and to share a cafecito and breakfast with me. We will also have folks tabling and from different organizations ready to help, especially to help sign up people for low-income utility programs. This is happening Saturday, January 12th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Fred Archer Center, located at 1665 South La Cholla Boulevard. For any questions and additional information, please call my office at 791-4040. Thank you.
Councilmember Durham.
As many of you know, U.S. Deputy Marshal Chase White was killed in the line of duty in Ward 3. My heart breaks for Marshal White, his wife and children, and the entire law enforcement community. Every day a TPD or any law enforcement officer puts on a uniform, they take a risk, and we should not forget that. In the aftermath of the shooting, TPD and other law enforcement officers continued to show heroism, bringing the suspect into custody and showing up for work the next day to continue to keep our community safe. I'd like to thank Chief Magnus for his leadership during this time, Captain Duffy and the entire personnel of Operations Division West, as well as the Tucson Police Mental Health Support Team. Our community thanks you and mourns with you.
Councilmember Fimbres.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate Ward 1 aide Natalia Ontiveros, Tucson High football coach Justin Argraves, and the other awardees for being named for the 40 Under 40 for 2018, held this morning at the PIMA Air Space Museum in Ward 5. It was my pleasure to attend the ceremony and to represent the city of Tucson. On Wednesday, November 21st, at the Council Ward 5 office, the students and staff from Summit View Elementary presented the community food bank with food they collected as part of their food drive. Summit View Elementary is within the Sunnyside School District, which emphasizes helping those in need of our community. We thank those students and Michael McDonald, president of the Community Food Bank, for their work in these efforts. On Sunday, December 2nd, I had the privilege of honoring the Tucson Company of Arizona Rangers, as well as members of their and members for their work in our community. I want to thank Colonel Dave Bruce and Sergeant Walter Ayers with the Arizona Rangers for that opportunity. On a sad note, Congressman Pastor, the first Latino elected to Congress to represent Arizona, passed away Tuesday, November 27th. Congressman Pastor served Arizona in Congress with distinction. He was initially elected in 1991 in a special election to succeed Mo Udall, who had resigned due to health reasons. Pastor served Arizona in the U.S. House of Representatives until 2014. Congressman Pastor was a leader and community advocate for our state. He made sure Southern Arizona got funding for various projects, including Hope 6 grants and the Tucson Modern Streetcar Project. I worked with his Southern Arizona District Director, Linda Leatherman, for many community projects, and Pastor's office always was there to help us. It was a privilege in 2015 as Vice Mayor to present Congressman Pastor a copper plaque from the City of Tucson to thank him for his efforts in Tucson and Southern Arizona during his time in Congress. His leadership will be missed. Please keep him, President George Bush, and U.S. Marshal White in your prayers. Thank you.
Okay. City Manager have anything to report at this time?
Mr. Mayor, just wanted to let the council know we had our employee appreciation event at Zoo on Sunday, and we had nearly 600 employees attend. Almost 3,400 people were there. It was a great time, great opportunity for everybody to interact. But I did want to acknowledge the staff that put it together. It was a group of folks. I know who they are. I won't list all their names. And I also wanted to acknowledge the zoo. Nancy really did a great job of coordinating with us. And again, it's a great asset for our community, and we took advantage of it. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. All right, item 4.
Boards, committees, and commissions, reports to Mayor and Council.
City Manager's communication number 378, dated December 4, is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow a board, committee, or commission to provide Mayor and Council a report on their activities during the past year, as well as anticipated future activities. Each presentation is scheduled to last 5 minutes. Design Review Board, it will be the first one up. Vice Chair David Marhefka. Is David here? Great.
Honorable Mayor Rothschild, City Council members, and Tucson City Manager and staff, thank you for taking the time to hear the annual report for the Design Review Board, DRB. My name is David Marhefka, and I'm a registered landscape architect, and I'm the Vice Chair of the DRB. My comments today should be brief. Since 1990, a version of the DRB has served the City of Tucson by reviewing proposed buildings, structures, landscaping, architectural features, and site plans. The DRB reviews and issues recommendations to the Board of Adjustment, development requests of variance to the scenic corridor zone, the environmental resource zone, landscape and screening standards, gateway corridor zone, and native plant preservation. The DRB also reviews appeals of the Planning and Development Services Department, PDSD, Director's decisions on development design option applications, sending recommendations to the Board of Adjustment. Additionally, the DRB reviews and makes recommendations on development applications within the neighborhood commercial zone, office 01 zone, and Rio Nuevo area. Finally, the DRB reviews and makes recommendations on appeals to the PDSD Director's decision on neighborhood preservation zone applications, reviews communication land use requiring a special exception, and travelers accommodations as home occupation. Currently, the DRB has only 4 members. Chairman Mike Anglin, an architect, Vice Chairman David Marhefka, myself, a landscape architect, Savannah McDonald, an architect, and Nathan Kapler, a contractor. 3 DRB positions remain vacant and need to be filled to ensure quorum and that items are heard in a timely manner. Any member of the Mayor and Council may make a recommendation for appointment of a DRB member. Such appointments are made by a majority vote of the Mayor and Council. Alternate members must be identified as such at the time of their appointment. The DRB members must be city residents. All members of the DRB serve without compensation. Of the 7 members, there shall be at least 1 registered architect, 1 contractor, and 2 registered landscape architects. No member of the DRB is to hold any city, county, or state elective office or be a permanent employee of the city while a member of the DRB. The members of the DRB encourage the Mayor and Council to fill the vacancies on the board so that the cases that come before the board can be reviewed in a timely manner. The DRB meets every other Friday as needed at 7:30 a.m. in the PDSD offices. In 2018, the DRB held 8 meetings and reviewed 11 cases, which included 7 variance requests on landscape and screening standards, 2 projects in the Rio Nuevo area, 1 variance request on building setback as required in the CD corridor zone, and 1 appeal to the PDSD director's decision on a DDO application to reduce street setback requirement. As a member of the DRB, we believe that our function is still vitally important to the Tucson community and appreciate that Mayor and Council have also recognized this and made the DRB an ongoing board. Thank you for your time. Do you have any?
Thank you, David. Thank you, all the members of your board. And if you wouldn't mind sending a email to the city clerks and just reminding us that we do have those vacancies, we'll work our best to get them filled for you.
We'll do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. All right, the next one up is the Veterans Affairs Committee. Chair Bruce Hamilton, I see, is here.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I've served on the VAC since 2014. I currently serve as the chair. I've just been reappointed for another year. The committee consists of members of the following organizations. So we have the Arizona Department of Veterans Services, DAV Chapter 2, Chapter 26, Chapter 4, and 18, Esperanza Escalante, Korean War and Korean Service Veterans Organization, the Marine Corps League Marana Nighthawk 72 Detachment, Military Officers Association of America, Tucson Chapter, Missing in America Project, Southern Arizona Veterans Administration Healthcare System, or as we call it, SAVA-HICS, right? SAVA-HICS, there you go. Tucson Jewish War Veterans, Post 201, the Tucson Veterans Cemetery Group, my organization, Tucson Veterans Serving Veterans, Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 106, and the Military Liaison Office at the Tucson Airport. The City of Tucson's Veterans Affairs Committee functions and purposes are to meet regularly as a representative organization of all affiliated veterans organizations in the Tucson metropolitan area to provide a common forum to the member organization for discussion and coordination of activities to achieve coordination, efficiency in promoting our activities, interests and goals of member organizations, and to compile and receive and disseminate information to develop and encourage united community understanding, effort, and support of our common projects, aims, goals of the member organizations, and in such manner to promote the general welfare of the citizens of the Tucson metropolitan area. To that end, the VAC supports several events. The first of those events is the Fort Chaplains Memorial Service that's held every year at the Keno Veterans Memorial Park as close to the anniversary of February 3rd, 1943, on the sinking of the U.S. Dorchester, where we lost 672 service members in that evening. The second one we do is we do Operation Exodus, which is coming up over Christmas. Operation Exodus is involving the troops from Fort Huachuca. There should be over 2,000 soldiers passing through Tucson International Airport on their way home at Christmas around December 17th to the 23rd. We provide non-perishable bagged items, sodas, waters, chips, and other items for their travel. It's important that the citizens of Tucson, we hope to ease with the help of the citizens of Tucson, we hope to ease their journey, and this can be done with Operation Exodus, and the VAC has supported that event since 1968. We also support the military lounge at the airport with support, and we also support our newer event, our Hats Off to Heroes. So any questions of me?
Yep, thank you. You guys do a great job. And keep it up. We really appreciate the work that you do for our veterans in this community. Thank you. All right. All right. On behalf of all of the council, I'd like to thank all of the folks who serve voluntarily on our commissions and boards for your service to the city. It helps us a great deal. Let's move on to item 5.
Liquor license applications.
City Manager's communication number 379 dated December 4 is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, please read the liquor license agenda.
On tonight's agenda, Your Honor, we have under 5B, we have 4 new licenses and 1 person transfer. Under 5C, which are special events, we have 7 special events. And under 5D, we have a agent change, acquisition of control. Staff has indicated all of these applications are in compliance. Therefore, an appropriate motion would be to move 5B 1 through 5, 5C 1 through 7, 5D 1 to the State Liquor Board with a recommendation of approval.
Mr. Mayor, I move to forward the liquor license to the State Liquor Board with a recommendation of approval.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Let's move to item 6.
Call to audience.
This time, any member of the public is allowed to address the mayor and council on any issue except for items scheduled for a public hearing at this meeting. Please make sure you've read the information on the back of the speaker's card before making your presentation. Speakers are limited to 3-minute presentations. Call the audience is scheduled to last for 30 minutes. Pursuant to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, individual council members may ask the city manager to review a matter, ask the matter to be placed on a future agenda, or respond to criticism made by speakers. However, the mayor and council may not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during call to the audience. We have about 10 cards tonight. If everybody stays within their 3 minutes, we ought to be able to get everybody in. So we'll get started, and let's get started with Handsome Fatherby.
This one or this one?
Tallest one's better.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask you today to please reconsider what I consider to be your silence on the acquisition of the Golden Pin Lanes by the county supervisors. The city has been working for years to protect the historical buildings in the Miracle Mile Gateway, and the Golden Pin Lanes is not a dilapidated, abandoned building with little money to renovate it, but a thriving business which has already been renovated and is full of artifacts and important history that has defined Tucson. What I would also like to request today is that the city offer a solution to benefit the city as a means for the county to get out of this mess and protect the Miracle Mile Historical District by making a land trade for the Golden Pin Lanes and then placing it under Parks and Recreation. The city just passed a bond to upgrade its Parks and Recreation, and the Golden Pin Lanes is the perfect site to add to its roster because it can be used for exercise in the summertime without fear of the searing hot temperatures that keep people away from the parks during the day. The piece of property I am suggesting for a possible trade today is the empty land next to the Operations West Police Station on West Miracle Mile. It does not appear that anyone is going to be using this spot for some time. If it is not an even trade, then another property, asset, or deal could be added in for negotiation. The Golden Pin Lanes is too historically important to the Miracle Mile Gateway to suddenly simply be dismissed away without trying to save it. There's not much other business around there, and there are other properties in the area that would better benefit from being redeveloped. It contributes to the economy, to tourism, and it pays taxes to local government. You worked hard to save it, why lose it? Thank you.
Patrick Gonzalez.
Hello, thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate it. Just wanted to talk about some of the issues that we've been having here with the law enforcement and things of that nature. My heart does go out to the family and all the victims that are with that happened. My opinion is the cops right now are getting paid way too much for what they're doing right now. What they're doing right now is they're violating people's rights. My name is Patrick Gonzalez, a child negro. I'm also a constitutional activist, and some of the things that are going on here is like we're getting arrested, we're getting beat up, and things of that nature for you know, filming and things of that nature. You know, like our First Amendment rights are being violated and things of that nature. There's officers in this very room that are more than willing to violate your rights and put hands on you and things of that nature. We've went to different parts of the government as far as the police departments and things of that nature, trying to get help and trying to, you know, get to the bottom of this whole thing. And I mean, when you go to IA or professional standards, things of that nature, I mean, I feel it's completely compromised. They're not there to actually take care of the citizens of this, the citizens. They're there actually to, you know, to prove the cops right and to discredit the public and things of this nature. I've been arrested. I've been arrested at the city court for freedom of speech, for my expression, for my freedom of press. I went to the city court a few times because I would have court the next day and I would go there to ask questions, and I would end up arrested and beat up, like, and things of that nature. Like, it's just completely out of control. And what I was kind of thinking, you know, I was kind of hearing you guys saying stuff, you know, about people working for like 20 years and still doing the minimum wage thing and you know, being close to that. I would recommend, I mean, as, you know, speaking for the public and things of that nature, I mean, excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous going, you know, but I think, you know, the money would be best served, I mean, into the community. Like if we got rid of like the rotten cops, you know what I mean, and start with the budget cut with their jobs, you know, and, you know, training and things of this nature. Yeah, so that's basically pretty much what it is we have officers that, you know, that'll pull you over and then they'll trump up charges on you. Like, just about 3 months ago, I was pulled over for absolutely nothing. They impounded my Lexus. I am a business owner here in Tucson. And they impounded my car, and I was pretty much given the only avenues that I would get, either go to jail, lose my car, lose all my tolls and things of that nature.
Your time's up, but thank you for coming and expressing yourself, and appreciate it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Judith Blair.
Good evening. I have good news, bad news, and then good news. Number one, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Birthday Basketball. The city of Tucson has an unprecedented event coming up on December 21st, Friday evening, the birthday of basketball. The great-granddaughter of the inventor, Margaret Naismith Joyner, will be at the game for the women, promoting women's basketball here. Our mayor will be there at halftime doing a proclamation, and we really are encouraging you to come. We have an incredible coach in Coach Adia Barnes. Her staff is great. The players are great. She's recruiting internationally, which will bring prominence to Tucson. I cannot say enough about the family, the Wildcat family, and what it's meant to me, speaking to my heart to yours. To have the welcome I had when coming into Tucson because of the way you treated my son Joseph and supported him is beyond measure, and I have an attitude of gratitude for that. And when I would fly in from Houston, Mayor, your mother was one of the ones that had an open heart and open arms to me, along with Dorothy Finley and a lot of other people there. The Wildcat family means so much to me. The bad news is, even though I love basketball most of my life, over 50 years, well, maybe over 60 years, watched Bobby Knight play at Ohio State, along with Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek, Larry Siegfried, and some others. I had to sit and watch my twin brother and my best friends play basketball, cheering them on with joy, while my heart was breaking. Back then, I didn't know the term gender bias, but I can tell you without a doubt, I knew the pain of gender bias. The bad news is there's over 12,000 seats that need to be filled for this birthday coming up. Gender bias continues. I've had the joy of attending the men's games and all the revelation and the joy and all that. And then I walk in with 14,000 people, more than that. And then I walk into the women's game, and that little girl in me starts to cry again. The women warrant your support and the support of this community, and I'm taking a stand for them. I believe the birthday of basketball can be a new birth, a rebirth for women's basketball at U of A. So the good news is you have the opportunity to help me. The mayor will be there. I'm asking each of you, and the U of A is inviting you with preferential seating and a guest to come to that game that night. I'd appreciate you supporting it and promoting it. We'll have interviews on radio and TV for Margaret when she comes here. I befriended the Naismith family when I lived in Houston years ago. Her mother and father, who are now 80 now and don't fly, and her uncle who passed away and came here during Naismith Week and presented Coach Olson with the Peach Basket Trophy, for which I had nominated him. So we'll be in touch. The U of A will be in touch with you regarding your response and seating arrangements. But I just ask you to encourage your friends, neighbors, businesses, and businesswomen in particular to take a stand against gender bias and come support the University of Arizona women's basketball. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Jojo Chirco.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't really think I need to speak, but I just wanted to say on behalf of my husband and I and my family, thank you for the city for the process of going through the rezoning that we went through and for the mayor and council's time. I do believe it is going up for recommendation, and it's been a long process and a learning process, but we do appreciate it, and I just wanted to acknowledge that, and we appreciate all of you, the hard work you put in.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming tonight, man. Anthony Potter.
Hello, Mayor and Council. It's been a while, but right now we're at the end of the year. We're changing seasons and we're in transition. Right now we're going through lots of economic stuff. If you remember, Dr. King said that the last, one of the last civil rights would be equality between the richest person and the poor person getting equal opportunity. So part of that is when we talk about Chris Avery over in Mr. Rankin's office, he likes when I talk about water, the Tucson water protectors, they like when we talk about water. We like about everybody having being guaranteed clean water, especially if we got to pay for it in the desert, which we shouldn't be really having to make people pay for water in the desert because it's part of survival. But as we go through this transition, we got 7 towers that are being proposed. We got historical sites that want to be torn down to replace it with these towers. So part of that is TEP is going to make lots of money off of each one of these towers because people are going to be mandated to buy overpriced old energy from them. So when you're talking about energy, right now what everybody's trying to talk about is energy neutral. In Europe, they're talking about energy negative. This is because pollution is really big. They're looking at ways on how to take the carbon monoxide, the carbon dioxide, and the CO2 out of the atmosphere and creating energy. So kind of what you do with that is you take that energy and you heat it. And so through living better through chemistry and understanding of science, what we learn is when we heat anything on a periodical chart, or we add a chemical, it changes that. So from CO2, you might get hydrogen, you might get helium. So by doing that, you take, right now they're designing this thing in Europe that actually is a machine. It costs about $15 million. Plus they got to do piecework to send it over and all the labor and all that stuff. But if we got this machine, we put it on the Davis Mothern as a pilot program, within a year, what we're going to do is 15% of the pollutants in the air is going to be filtered out and made to where we can provide cheaper energy than what TP's overpricing us for, and doing it on a minimal amount. So as we go through transitions, maybe we could put that somewhere in development.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. All right. Paul Parisi.
Let's talk to Ortega.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm Paul Parisi. I'm with Fort Tucson. We're a nonprofit organization that seeks biblical solutions for city problems. Our hearts are bleeding for the loss of U.S. Marshal White losing his life in Tucson. You know, when Fort Tucson started about 7 years ago, we began a program where we give honor to our first responders. And January 4th is our 6th annual reception and blessing for elected officials and first responders. And this is a chance for all of us to honor you as elected officials, but also for you to be able to show honor with us to our first responders who risk their lives every day serving and protecting us. I know, Mr. Mayor, I got a word from your office that you have a scheduling conflict, but we're praying that that changes and you can come like you have, because you've been one of our greatest supporters, and we thank you for coming all these years that you have. And Councilman Fimbres, I know you're registered, but the rest of you, I'd really like you to come this year. It's a great event, and you're my personal guests. I've extended invitation to Chief Magnus and asked him to be able to bring other officers, because this is a miracle that's gone on. We just started advertising 4 weeks ago, and we've already sold 16 tables so that first responders can come at no charge. So we've already secured that. Any first responder that wants to come is going to be coming at no charge. And we're co-sponsoring this with the 100 Club, which is the philanthropic organization that helps out first responders. So I thank you for what you're doing. You know, the purpose of government is protecting people, and you do so well supporting our police and firefighters. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate your work. John Isley.
Mayor and council members, good evening. My name is John Isley, and I'm the Executive Director of the Tucson Emerging 2030 District. And I'm here, as you might expect, to speak in favor of the MOU that's coming up on item 7D, I believe, for the city to become official members of the 2030 District. This morning, the County Board of Supervisors approved a similar memorandum of understanding for the county to become members of the district. And yesterday, President Robbins of the University of Arizona signed an MOU for the university. So we're anticipating, hopefully, that the city would also approve this memorandum and join the team. It would be an excellent addition to our team. You know, a few years ago, there wasn't a thing called a 2030 district, and over the past few years, today we have over 20 local businesses who are actively analyzing their energy data and promoting sustainability and working together. Companies with like Halualoa companies who own the Pioneer Building, Fenton Associates who owns One South Church, the YWCA, the Hotel Congress. All these are folks that have caught the vision of the district and are working together. We also have about over 20 professional members of the district who bring their technical expertise to help building owners to determine what kind of improvements they can make to their buildings and so forth. These are companies like EcoBlue, Johnson Controls, Technicians for Sustainability, and many local architects. Community organizations are also supportive of the goals of the district. Organizations like the Downtown Tucson Partnership, BOMA, Mrs. Green's World, Physicians for Social Responsibility, and so forth. So You know, the work of the 2030 district is can be kind of technical. You know, we measure performance in buildings and try and figure out ROIs and that sort of thing. But really, when you look at what we're about, the heart of what we're about is building relationships, okay? And we're looking to provide a place, a space where people can come together, a table for people to collaborate and figure out how we can work together to solve these significant problems of climate change, sustainability, and how to make our buildings really perform in a great way. So I'm excited about the prospect of the city joining the team, and we look forward to a lot of years where we can work together and really build a strong community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Mark Spear. Easier.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Ortega and staff, it's always a pleasure to come in front of you here and say something. I believe I've said something nice about every one of you at least once, but sometimes the issue is a bit more negative. And this is one that's very, I'd call it negative light. And there's an issue on the consent agenda for the speed limit on PIMA Street, and a reduction in speed limit from 35 to 30 in a particular area. And I drive PIMA quite a bit, and I also drove it twice today, once coming down for another meeting, and then I drove it coming for this meeting. And traffic does seem to flow pretty good along it. I'm relatively happy with that. I wish it was 4 lanes all the way down, but that's just the way it goes. But my objection here is that it does not appear that this change would be good engineering design and practice. And there are ways that you calculate speed limits. I don't know if you've all done that enough times to know it, but there's a thing called the 85th percentile speed. And they go out and they measure it, and they determine that virtually 85% of all vehicles will stay under that particular number. And that's usually the speed limit, or the speed limit is set 5 above that somewhere at a nice round number, and that keeps everybody generally legal. So I looked up the speed limit, or the speed studies from Tucson Department of Transportation, the Traffic Engineering Division, and picked that up today here. And on one area, which is the existing 30-mile-an-hour area from Country Club to Palo Verde, the 85th percentile speed is right here at, I think, 38 miles an hour. And so they wind up with 90% of the vehicles violating the speed limit. And in the 35-mile-an-hour area, it looks like it gets down to 29% of violations, and that's a pretty good number. We'd like it to be less. So it would appear that if you take the data from Tucson Traffic Engineering, it should be 35 just about all the way. My personal opinion is from Dodge on, or maybe even Alvernon on, it's okay to be 30, but it still is a pretty high violation area by that particular point. And so my recommendation is to pull it off the consent agenda, have Tucson Traffic Engineering look it over really good, and have them back up whatever decision that you make with sound speed study data. This was from 14, and I thank Dion Schwartz for this. And anyway, thank you for the time.
All right, thank you, Mark. Camille Kirshner, is Camille here?
This one? Hi. This one? Hi. Hi, I'm Camille Kirshner. So speaking real quick to that brief recommendation, you're reducing the speed limit for safety, and so how would increasing the speed limit improve safety? I'm not really sure. To that end, also, improving safety with reducing speed is pretty counterintuitive to what you're doing on Broadway as far as widening the road, adding lanes so that people can get out of town faster. We've spent 5 years still fighting for dedicated transit, which we voted for in 2006 on that roadway per the 2009 PAG High Capacity Implementation Plan, and you undermine that with what you're doing elsewhere in the city. We have on the consent agenda, or on the, I'm sorry, I just read all this information this morning, so it's kind of not very organized, but you have your in public hearing regarding the 2030 district. Those boundaries are, half that district boundaries are Broadway and that project, and you don't seem to be taking that into consideration. Not with the project, but I hope when you have the district in place that you look at that as not just the district boundaries, but the rest of the city, because we all have to travel through that area, whether or not we reside or work in the district. I see other items on your consent agenda, the South KOLB Annexation District, and we're told to talk to Amazon about getting fixed route service to that area. And, you know, that's my workplace. I can't take the bus there. So my pollution drifts over into the, rest of the community. I live just east of the Tanque Verde La Roca Vista consent agenda item also. Other cities are abandoning the entire concept of minimum parking requirements, including some 2030 districts. I believe Seattle is one. And yet, in your paperwork, I see visitor parking is 1 space per dwelling unit, but we don't have fixed route service there either. Catalina and Bear Canyon, we have an express route. I can't take an express route here for this meeting. I sure can't take it home. So, think outside those boundaries a little bit. There's also, the other one that I saw was, maybe that was it. Oh yeah, the adaptive signalization. I mean, all these things are, looking at ADOT, and they've got their construction going on with River and Oracle intersection. Well, they just put adaptive signalization further north on Oracle at Tangerine to Rudisill. So, where's that consideration, again, with Broadway, with any other city projects that are going on? These are all things that the Congestion Management Plan has in place from PAG for the purpose of reducing our emissions. So I welcome you to please join the district and then look beyond those boundaries when you make these decisions. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Camille. All right, last card for this is Peter Dobrovolny. Close enough.
Close enough. Peter Dobrovolny. And thank you for the opportunity. I am one of the co-founders of the Tucson 23 district and serve on the board of directors. I'm also retired recently and fairly recent new citizen here in Tucson, so let me connect the dots. I committed my entire professional career to addressing environmental issues related to climate change, starting as a solar architect in Colorado in the 60s and ending my career working as a planner in Seattle until 2014, developing green building programs, and I was very intimately involved in the formation of the first 2030 district. Something didn't go unnoticed. There are now over 20, as John said, 2030 districts around the country with over 400 million square feet and 880 member organizations committed to meeting the goals of the 2030 Challenge. The 2030 Challenge is part of the mission of Architecture 2030's Ed Mazzaria to convert the built environment from being one of the major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions to being a part of the solution to climate change. One of the things that I've learned in my years working at local level, state level, national levels is the way we solve problems is to work collaboratively together. And so that got me here. Through connections I had here in late 2013, I presented the idea in Tucson of a 2030 district. In January of 2015, we had our first meeting with a few property owners and practitioners to discuss the possibility, and guess what? It seems to be working. So the most recently released National Climate Assessment tells us we've got a serious climate challenge ahead of us. But working together, we have the tools and resources to research the options and look at the opportunities, working together to create the kind of future we want. So I encourage you to sign the MOU, and we look forward very much to working with you in solving this problem as we go forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on to item number 7.
Consent agenda items A through L.
Reports from the city manager on the consent agenda are received into and made part of the record. Mr. Clerk, you are requested to read the Ms. Clerk, I'm sorry, you are requested to read the consent agenda.
Item A is approval of minutes. Item B, boards, committees, and commissions, amending Tucson Code Chapter 10A, clarifying term limits. Item C is boards, committees, and commissions, amending Tucson Code Chapter 10A to allow members to serve on 2 boards, committees, and commissions. Item D is memorandum of understanding with the Tucson Emerging 2030 District for Energy and Water Conservation. Item E is a labor agreement amendment with the Tucson Police Officers Association. Item F, an intergovernmental agreement amendment with PIMA County for the 5 Points Neighborhood and Business Coalition Reinvestment Project. Item G is an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Transportation for improvements to State Route 77 Oracle Road between River Road and Henematas Drive. Item H, Tucson Code, amending Chapter 20, Motor Vehicles and Traffic relating to speed limits on PIMA Street, repealing ordinances number 11527 and 11528. Item I is Tucson Code, amending Chapter 20 relating to one-way streets and alleys, converting a section of 8th Street from one-way traffic to two-way traffic, repealing ordinance 11368. Item J, final plat, S18-076, South Fremont, lots 1 through 4. Item K, intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Game and Fish Department for the community fishing program. And item L is a real property extending inspection period for sale of city-owned property located at 930 to 948 East Broadway Boulevard and 935 East 12th Street, which was the former Broadway Volvo site. That's the extent of the consent agenda.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the matters on the consent agenda.
Second. We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on these matters? Let's go to roll call.
Mr. Cunningham. Aye. Mr. Kozaczek.
Aye.
Mayor Rothschild.
Aye.
Ms. Romero.
Aye.
Mr. Fimbres.
Aye.
Mr. Durham.
Aye.
The items on the consent agenda are approved by a vote of 6-0. Item 8.
Public hearing, South KOLB Annexation District.
City Manager's communication number 391 dated December 4 is received into and made part of the record. Ladies and gentlemen, this is time and place legally advertised for a public hearing on the proposed annexation district located on KOLB Road south of Valencia. Encompassing approximately 90.9 acres, it is currently being developed as the site of the Amazon Distribution Center. This public hearing is scheduled to last for no more than 1 hour. Speakers are limited to 5-minute presentations. I don't have any cards on this matter. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on this matter? If not, we do have Mr. Chakowski here to answer questions if anybody has any, but if not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public
Mayor,
hearing.
move to close the public hearing.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor of closing the public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Public hearing is closed. What's the council's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to, on behalf of my colleague Shirley Scott that had to leave for an emergency, I'd like to proceed with the South KOLB Annexation District.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and second to proceed with this annexation. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. 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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries 6-0. Let's go to item 9.
Zoning, SE 18-55, T-Mobile, Irvington Road, 03 Zone, Wireless Communication Facility, Special Exception Land Use, Ordinance Adoption, Ordinance number 11600.
City Manager's communication number 386, dated December 4, is received and made part of the record. This is a special exception land use request for property located approximately 300 feet north of Irvington Road and 2,000 feet east of Mission Road. Staff recommends approval of the wireless communication tower as a special exception land use in the 03 zone and adoption of the ordinance which establishes conditions for approval. The zoning examiner recommends approval of the special exception subject to the recommended conditions. Is there an applicant or representative present for this? Could you come up, sir? Could you state your name and who you represent?
Yes, sir. Gary Castle, representing T-Mobile, or actually Vertical Bridge as being the tower company for T-Mobile.
Okay. Is your client agreeable to the proposed requirements that have been
Yes, sir.
given to you?
Absolutely.
All right. That's all I think I need.
Very good.
Mr. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 11600 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 11066, relating to zoning, a special exception land use wireless communications facility, SE-18-55, T-Mobile, Irvington Road, located approximately 300 feet north of Irvington Road and 2,000 feet east of Mission Road, approving with conditions the construction of a wireless communication facility with 8 antenna panels concealed within a mono-elm within approximately 1,050 square feet lease area in the O3 zone and setting an effective date.
What's the
Mr.
council's
Mayor?
pleasure?
I'd like to move that we approve the request as recommended by the zoning examiner and pass and adopt ordinance 11600.
Second.
A motion and a second on that matter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Fimbres? Aye. Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Mr. Kozaczek? Aye. Mayor Rothschild?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Ordinance 11600 passes by a vote of 6-0. Let's go to item 10.
Zoning C9-18-14, CHIRCO, Brown Street, SR to RX1, City Manager's Report.
City Manager's communication number 387, dated December 4th, is received into and made a part of the record. This is a request to rezone approximately 2.49 acres from SR to RX1 zoning. The rezoning site is located on the east side of Brown Street, approximately 700 feet south of East Broadway Boulevard. Staff recommends authorization of the RX1 zoning subject to certain conditions. The zoning examiner recommends approval of RX1 zoning. Is there an applicant or representative present on this matter? Okay. Yes? Oh, you did. You spoke, but you get to come up again. You're a lucky person. All right, just state your name and your relationship
My
to the
name
property.
is JoJo Chirco, and I'm representing my family, my father Sandy Chirco, my mom Rose Chirco, and my husband Howard Mortensen. We own the property already. It's in the family. We are trying to rezone it so that we can put another house on it, and that my husband and I can downsize to building a house there and maintain the other property for my parents.
I just have one question for you.
Yes.
Are you agreeable to the proposed requirements?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Then
Yes.
That's all I need to hear.
Yes.
What's the council's pleasure?
Your Honor, this is in Ward 2. Pretty familiar with this one. I move that we pass and adopt the rezoning.
Okay. Second. Got a motion and second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes 6-0. Thank you, ma'am. All right, let's go then to item 11.
Zoning C9-18-16, Rubenstein House, East Calle Fernando, R1 to HLR1, City Manager's Report, Ordinance Adoption, Ordinance number 11601.
City Manager's communication number 383, dated December 4, is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to designate the Rubenstein House at 3838 East Calle Fernando as a historic landmark. The rezoning site is located approximately 200 feet west of Alvernon Way and 650 feet south of 5th Street. The zoning examiner recommends approval of HLR1 zoning. Staff recommends authorization of HLR1 zoning and adoption of the ordinance. Is there an applicant or representative present for this property? Anybody here? Okay. Who do we have? Mr. Rankin. Do we need affirmation?
Mr. Mayor, you can proceed with the action as recommended in the Mayor and Council communication.
Okay. So if somebody doesn't come and they don't object, then we're proceeding as recommended.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read ordinance 11601 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 11601 relating to zoning, amending zoning district boundaries in the area located approximately 200 feet west of Alvernon Way and 650 feet south of 5th Street in case C9-18-16 Rubenstein House, 3838 East Calle Fernando, R1 to HLR1, and setting an effective date.
What's the council's pleasure?
So I was going to ask also if the property owners were here before you asked. There was Jerry Schuster and Laura Tremaine. The last time we did one of these HLs in a single-family residence, the same kind of conditions were present, and that was the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation was sponsoring the application, and we didn't have any property owners here to validate that they were supportive of what was happening. So how are we sure that the property owners are in agreement with the rezoning absent anybody being here?
Well, we got Mr. Clark and Mr. Reno here. Do you guys know? I mean, the question is, Mr. Klinko comes and he makes a presentation. Have you ever seen the property owners and seen their affirmations?
Yes, and in this particular case, Councilmember Kozaczek is correct as to the first application. It was made by the couple that you referenced. The house then sold to a Ms. Thomas, who lives, I believe, in Portland, Oregon. She submitted another application signed by her, which reflects that she is in support of and does want the property rezoned to HL.
Okay, and that's a normal protocol, is that even if there's a sponsoring entity like the Historic Preservation Foundation, we reach out to validate that the property owner is actually supportive?
I can just speak to this case, and in this case, an application on her behalf signed by her was submitted.
Okay, well, we have several others in the pipeline that I'm aware of that it'll be helpful when it gets to this stage that we have something in the record that shows it's not simply, the Preservation Foundation sort of acting on their own.
Understood. Thank you.
And with that, I'd move that we adopt the HL designation for this site.
Got a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I think that one's roll call.
Mr. Durham.
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham. Mayor Rothschild.
Aye.
Mr. Fimbres.
Aye.
Mr. Kozaczek.
Yes.
Ms. Romero.
Aye.
Ordinance 11601 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 12.
Zoning, C9-18-10, La Roca Vista, Tanque Verde Road, SR to R1, City Manager's Report. Your Honor, this item has been continued to the meeting of December 18th.
Got it. Let's move on to item 13.
City Magistrates, appointment of City Magistrates and fixing compensation. Ordinances numbers 11602 and 11603.
Okay, well, we have two separate magistrates here tonight, and they present two very different cases, I'm sure. We may want to start with Judge Shetter. City Manager's Communication number 370, dated December 4, is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read Ordinance 11602 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 11602 relating to City Magistrates appointing Thomas J. Burning as City Magistrate of the City of Tucson, fixing compensation and declaring an emergency.
What is the council's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, it's with great pleasure that I'd like to move that we pass and adopt Ordinance 11602, naming Thomas J. Burning as City Magistrate.
Second.
We have a motion and second on this. Is there any discussion?
Wondering if you got something on him.
I can vote no. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Look at him. Look, he can't even laugh tonight. He's nervous. It's good. It's a good thing. All right. We have a motion and second to appoint Thomas Burning as City Magistrate. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Kozaczek?
Yes.
Mr. Cunningham?
Congratulations, Judge. Aye.
Mr. Fimbres?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Mayor Rothschild?
Aye. Ordinance 11602 passes by a vote of 6-0.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read Ordinance 11603 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 11603 relating to City Magistrates appointing Susan Q. Shetter as City Magistrate of the City of Tucson, fixing compensation and declaring an emergency.
What's the council's pleasure?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I'd like to move that we pass and adopt Ordinance 11603, naming Susan Shetter as City Magistrate.
Second.
I have a little edge here. Shh. We have a motion and a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Judge Shetter, you've done an incredible job for a lot of years for us in your courts, and we look forward to a whole lot more from you if you can hang with us. So with that, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Fimbres?
Yes.
Mr. Cunningham? Oh,
Congratulations, Judge. Aye.
you good? Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Mayor Rothschild?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Thank you for your service, Judge. Yes.
Mr. Kozaczek?
Not a lot of years. It's a moderate number of years. So, but yes.
We've known each other a long time. Ordinance 11603 passes by a vote of 6-0. All right, thank you, judges, for coming in. Yeah, Bernie, you ought to be excited. All right, let's move on to item 14.
Boards, committees, and commissions, appointment to the Civil Service Commission, resolution number 22963.
City Manager's communication number 399, dated December 4, is received to and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you requested to read resolution 22963 by number and title only.
Resolution number 22963 relating to the Civil Service Commission appointing Thomas Palomares II as a Civil Service Commissioner to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Malcolm Pavey and to serve the remainder of the term that commenced on March 6, 2018 and will expire on March 5, 2024, fixing an annual compensation and declaring an emergency.
What's the council's pleasure? Councilman Cunningham?
Your Honor, I'd like to move. Tom Palomares is actually a resident of Ward 2. He's had a long dialogue being involved in the city. He is a former business owner along Restaurant Row and a very sensible and distinguished choice for this position.
Great. Excellent. Good to hear. We got a second?
Second?
Yeah.
Second.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Fimbres?
Aye.
Mayor Rothschild?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Mr. Kozaczek?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Resolution 22963 passes by a vote of 6-0. I think we're 15? What's your call?
Mayor and Council selection of Vice Mayor, resolution number 22967.
City Manager's communication number 384, dated December 4, is received to and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you request to read resolution 22967 by number and title only.
Resolution number 22967 relating to the Vice Mayor, the Mayor and Council selecting a Vice Mayor.
What's the council's pleasure?
Your Honor, I know it's a formality, but I just want to thank Richard Fimbres for being the Vice Mayor thus far. He's done such an outstanding job, and I look forward to him to carrying out the rest of his term with all the distinction he brings to the office. So I recommend that we pass and adopt 22967.
Do we get a second? Fimbres usually does the second, so he can't do this one. Okay. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mayor Rothschild?
Aye.
Ms. Romero? Aye. Mr. Fimbres?
Can I vote?
Yeah, you can vote.
Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Congratulations, Richard. Aye.
Mr. Kozaczek?
Resolution 22967 passes by a vote of 6-0. Item 16.
Adjournment.
Council stand adjourned. Next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, December 18, 2018, 5:30 p.m., same place.